Hey bro, what's up, man? Just gonna show you something really cool here. Pardon the sound quality, my house is all weird here. But let's say I'm just gonna show you kind of how like basically triangles and vector math kind of make up computer graphics like real quick. So basically, let's say you want to make a triangle. Okay, so you have point 1, point 2, and point 3. Okay, point 3. Now the way computer graphics work is it actually stores the X, Y, and Z position for each one of those. So like you have P1X, P1Y, and all that. Yeah, P1Z, and so on. Okay. Now what it does is it creates vectors between those. Okay, and the order you have to decide on which order, clockwise or counterclockwise, gets the texture. If you're building your vectors counterclockwise, you want the counterclockwise side to have the texture, otherwise the texture's on the inside. So then let's say we make a P4. Okay. Now I can make a triangle. P P1, P2, P3. That's that triangle, right? Then I can make P4 here, and I can make a triangle from P1, P3, P4, which would basically be like this. Okay. Now the triangle is the basic unit of 3D graphics, and it's what everything's drawn on. I'll show you here in a minute. At the end, there's going to be like I throw it all together, real cool. So basically what you can do is you can assign a color here. So you can have, P4C equals red, which is 1, 0, 0. It's red, green, blue. And then this guy down here, let's make him blue, okay? So P3 is going to equal blue, which is 0, 1, 0. No, 0, 0, 1. Red, green, blue. So that's the basics of it. Now what it's going to do is it'll actually blend the colors together, linear interpolate them. And so that's what I'm going to show you here. Something I've been working on some tutorials online. And here's a basic, make sure I have the right one loaded. So this right here is very basic. It's just, I won't go into detail because you're probably like, what the hell does all that mean? But when it runs, it creates, that's because I have it filled. It's going to fill it in. I'm going to set it to line, which is just going to create the lines. The points are up here. So I have a vector with 3 floats, decimal. So X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y. There's the 4, point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. Here's the color, red, that's green, that's blue, and then that's green. So we have 2 corners that are green. And then here's the texture coordinates. So now that I set the draw mode to line, where was that? Right there. Okay. It'll draw the lines when I run it. Guys, please be quiet. I'm trying to do a video. So there it goes. There's the points. Point 1, 2, 3. And then point 1, 3, 4 for the other triangle. And notice how it blends them along the vectors. It actually changes the color of the vectors between the 2 points to be a blend. So now, what if I want that color blend? I don't want to see the lines. I want it to fill it in. Well, then I change the draw mode from line. GL is just graphics library, the graphics language. Change that to fill. For some reason it wants to keep running it on the other monitor. So there, now it fills it in. All right. So that's really simple. That's how often do you just want to fill in something full of color, especially a rainbow like that? Very rare. Instead, what you want to do, / just comments it out. It means don't run this code. It ignores it completely. So now I'm going to run this line instead, which I have an image, and it's going to load the texture in there, and it's going to multiply it by the colors of another image. I don't want that. I'm just going to have just one image load, one texture. Actually, it's just an image, but a texture is nothing but an image. So there, I loaded in a render of, it's just a JPEG. I just basically said, hey, load this JPEG into my window. Okay. So nothing more fancy than what, Microsoft Picture Viewer will do. All right. So now that we've done that, you're thinking, well, what are all these triangles? You drew 2 triangles. What you freaking do? Well, when I come into Maya, I create a polygon by default. Can't even. Oh, wrong one. Cube. There we go. I want to give away. Okay, forget it. I'm going to go ahead and give away what I was going to show you. This is the actual official This is the actual model of Deathwing exported out of the program I've got. That is the actual 3D model that's used in the game. Can't animate it, it's just a model. But as you remember, the one thing I meant to tell you was when we loaded that image, this is big, I forgot this part. When we load that image, those two triangles are still there. The line goes through the middle there, it's the triangle, the two triangles are still there. It just knows to, inside this triangle, draw, basically, imagine cutting that photo down right at a diagonal. You take that bottom triangle and you load it into the bottom triangle that I drew. You take the top part of the image, put it in there, so it's almost like, puts them right back together. Down, so you don't even the pixels come together, you don't see a line, anything. So there's two triangles there that make up an image. Well, what happens if you take a bunch of triangles and you stick an image on there? Maybe an image that looks sort of like, I don't know, maybe a dragon? Bam. That's all it is. So when this thing is animating, when it turns its head, I'm going to do a real crappy animation here. I'm just going to select all the control vertices there, and I'm going to rotate it, which is not what you would do, because his neck is going to stretch and stuff. So basically, okay, even when I'm doing this is real crappy, because that's not where the pivot point's going to be. The pivot point's going to be way back here, and they're all going to kind of move in succession so that his neck moves like, it's supposed to. It's not going to stretch like that. But even just doing this, when I'm doing this in Maya, all it's doing is it's basically taking every single one of those yellow points, which is a control vertex. It has an XYZ position, so I can even move it along Z, along X, along Y. All it's doing is it's however fast my CPU and GPU can draw to the screen, which is probably 60 frames a second or better. Every 60th of a second, it's replotting where is the XYZ position for that? Where is the XYZ position for that? Where's the XYZ position for that? Just for just that one triangle right there. And it's redrawing them, and then it's recalculating the texture, because as the angle changes, it's going to have to draw right now that whole thing takes up my whole screen, right? So right now it's blurring the pixel. The reason it's blurry is because it can't just create new pixels. It averages the neighboring pixels around each pixel, and then averages them, so it naturally gets blurred. And when I move it further away, it takes up less of my screen. When I go like this, when I turn, it's got to redraw every single one of those triangles, So this triangle right here, you can see it really well, but as soon as I angle like that, and it's pointing away from us. So that's all it's doing, is it's replotting the X, Y, Z position of every single one of those points as it rotates, as it moves, like Maya likes to do sometimes when I tell it to, So yeah, now in our program, this is one last thing, we work in what's called quads, obviously four-sided shapes. So if I was to go through here and delete, that'd be an arduous task, but because it's not, you got to try to get as close to like actual rows. But see, you can take a rectangle like that. That's how we work. It's just easier to work that way. It's less to worry about. When you bend stuff, you don't have to worry about it angling a certain weird way, because there's the bottom of the triangle, one of the corners moved the wrong direction or whatever. So we work in quads, and then in the end, when we render it, in the background, it's creating triangles. It's creating a whole bunch of triangles, it's basically writing a file, and that file says, hey, put a line here, put a line here, put a line here, put a line here. It takes every single quad we have and draws a diagonal from one corner to the other to split it into two triangles. And the reason is, I lied, there's one last thing. The reason is, this is kind of cool. If you, so let's say we make a simple plane here, all right? And let's not subdivide it at all. Let's just make it, no subdivisions. Subdivisions, not here. No subdivisions, just one flat polygon. Now, what this is once again, there's a control vertex. That is a point in space. Has an XYZ coordinate. That has an XYZ coordinate. That has an XYZ coordinate. That has an XYZ coordinate. I can change it. Now, that is completely flat. 100% completely flat. Now, if I bend this up like that, mind you, these lines are vectors. They're not Bezier curves. There's nothing mathematically in them that allows them to be a sine wave or a cosine wave or a simple, square function. It's just a straight line, point A, point B, change the y over change an x. If you pull that up like that, that is mathematically undefined. Now, if these were Bezier curves, sure, you'd say, well, I could draw a Bezier curve from one point, but no, they're vectors. And so vectors, using the dot product, whatever, you can make a flat surface. That is literally mathematically undefined. Maybe you wonder how the program doing it. Well, there's a line through there. It's just we don't see it. Now, if I triangulate this to go into a game engine, it'll do that. It'll do like this. It'll draw a line through it. So that's called a non-manifold shape. You can work with it in Maya. If I could get this into a game engine and not have the game engine triangulate it automatically, it would give me an error. It literally would crash or not run or draw weird. Yeah, so that's the basics of computer graphics. It's just, freaking triangles, and then it basically maps in, it figures out on the screen. The screen is a series of pixels. It finds out what pixel on the screen there is right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. It goes in a row after row. This row, then the next row, then the next row, just like it's reading, because that's what it's doing. It's reading the screen pixels, and then it's going to the image and saying it's mapping the pixels of the image to the screen pixels. And it does that really fast. So I can pretty cool stuff, huh, man? Now, how do I stop this? Oh, there we go. Poor babe.